Let's begin with a boy who never quite fit in. His name was Bob Weir, born Robert Hall Parber in San Francisco, October 1947, given up for adoption before he could even remember his first mother's face. Imagine that. Before you can walk, you're already unwanted. The Weir family took him in, gave him a name, a home, but they couldn't give him the thing he needed most. They couldn't make him belong. He was dyslexic. Back then, they didn't have a kind word for it. They just called him slow, stupid, a kid who couldn't read right, who mixed up his letters, who sat in classroom feeling smaller and smaller as other children laughed. He found refuge in music. A guitar became the only friend that never judged him. He was just 16 years old, a lonely kid with shaggy hair and dreams too big for his broken heart, where he walked into a music store on New Year's Eve, 1963. That's where he met Jerry Garcia. Jerry was teaching guitar. Older, wiser, already had that look in his eyes like he'd seen too much of life. But he saw something in Bob, something nobody else saw. A kid who played guitar like he was trying to speak a language he'd been born knowing but could never quite translate into words. They formed a band. First Mother McCree's Uptown Jug Champions, then the Warlocks, and finally, the Grateful Dead. For 30 years, Bob Weir stood on stages across America. Crowds of thousands. Tie-dye and peace signs and smoke rising into summer skies. People called them legends. Icons. The soundtrack of a generation. But if you looked close enough at Bob on those stages, you'd see something else. You'd see a boy still searching, still trying to belong. Jerry Garcia was the sun. Everyone orbited around him. And Bob was a rhythm guitar player. The one people forgot about when they closed their eyes and lost themselves in Jerry's solos. He tried to be okay with it. He smiled. He wrote songs. Sugar Magnolia. Playing in the band. Songs that made people dance, made them feel alive. But inside, he wondered if he'd ever be enough. His bandmates almost kicked him out in 1968. Said he wasn't pulling his weight. Not good enough. Can you imagine? Finally finding where you belong, and then being told, you still don't fit. He stayed. He got better. He proved them wrong. But that wound never fully healed. The years passed. Drugs. Overdoses. Band members dying young. Ron Pigpen McKernan in 1973. Only 27 years old. Brent Mydland in 1990. Also 27. And then, August 1995. Jerry Garcia, Bob's friend, his brother, the man who saw him when nobody else did, gone at 53. And just like that, the music stopped. The Grateful Dead was over. Bob was 47 years old. Half his life spent in that band. And now what? He kept playing, formed new bands. The other ones, Rat Dog, Dead and Company. But it wasn't the same. Nothing was ever the same. He was chasing a ghost, trying to keep alive a thing that had died with Jerry. Fans kept coming. Younger and younger generations discovering the music, following the tours just like their parents did. But Bob kept aging, kept performing, kept pretending he wasn't tired. In the summer of 2025, Bob found out he had cancer. He didn't tell many people. He started treatment quietly, 3 weeks before Dead and Company was set to play Golden Gate Park in San Francisco. 3 nights celebrating 60 years of music. His lungs were failing. His body was giving out. But he performed anyway, because that's all he knew how to do. Those shows in August 2025, they would be his last. And nobody knew it. Not even him. Maybe he did. Maybe somewhere deep inside, he felt it. The end coming. The final note approaching. He beat the cancer. Can you believe that? 78 years old, and he beat it. But his lungs, they couldn't recover. All those years of performing, breathing in smoke-filled venues, living hard in the 1960s when everyone thought they'd live forever. It all caught up with him. On January 10th, 2026, surrounded by the people who loved him, Bob Weir stopped fighting. The music finally went quiet. His family said he transitioned peacefully. What does that even mean? Peacefully? Was he at peace with never feeling like enough? Was he at peace with spending his whole life in someone else's shadow? Was he at peace with knowing that the thing he loved most in the world ended 30 years ago, and everything since had just been Echoes? We'll never know. All we know is that he's gone. And somewhere in San Francisco, in Golden Gate Park where he played his final show, the wind carries a melody nobody will ever play quite the same way again. Now let's talk about the man who made your childhood sing. You might not know his name, but you know his music. Close your eyes and remember. Timmy is an average kid that no one understands. That's Guy Moon. Young Danny Fenton. He was just 14. That's Guy Moon, too. It started when an alien device did what it did. Guy Moon. Every magical afternoon you spent in front of the television. Every theme song that got stuck in your head. Every moment of pure, innocent joy before you knew how cruel the world could be. Guy Moon gave you that. He was born February 7th, 1962, in Fort Atkinson, Wisconsin. A small-town boy with big dreams and a piano in the living room. His father played boogie-woogie, the kind of music that makes your feet tap without permission. Guy was 5 years old when he asked his dad to teach him. His father showed him once. Just once. And Guy, he just started playing. Like he'd been born knowing how. Music wasn't something Guy learned. It was something he breathed. He moved to California in 1986. 24 years old with a head full of melodies and a heart full of hope. But California is where dreams go to starve. He struggled, did odd jobs, composed for small projects nobody watched. He started getting tinnitus, a constant ringing in his ears that never stopped. Imagine being a composer and losing your silence. But he kept working, kept creating, and then a miracle. Through a random connection, through a friend of a friend, his demo tape landed on someone's desk at Hanna-Barbera. They hired him, and Guy Moon started writing music for cartoons. The Fairly Odd Parents. For Emmy nominations, millions of children singing along, millions of parents humming the theme song while making dinner, driving to work, tucking their kids into bed. Guy created more than music. He created the soundtrack to Innocence. He worked with Butch Hartman, the show's creator, and they became brothers, not by blood, but by something deeper. Creative souls who understood each other. Danny Phantom, Tuff Puppy, Johnny Test, Back at the Barnyard, Big Time Rush, show after show after show. Guy never stopped. He had a wife, his high school sweetheart, 3 children, a modest home in the San Fernando Valley. He wasn't rich, wasn't famous in the way people think of fame, but he was happy, or he seemed happy, because here's what nobody talks about. The tinnitus got worse, the constant noise in his head, a reminder that even the music inside him was breaking down. He traveled to Ethiopia in 2011 to teach at the Mekane Yesus Seminary, taught students about film and media, about using art to tell stories. He had faith, deep faith, believed his gift was meant to be shared. But in his final years, work slowed down. The industry changed. Streaming services wanted different sounds, cheaper composers, AI-generated music. Guy kept working, but the calls came less frequently. His last project were independent films, smaller productions, nothing like the glory days of Nickelodeon. He never complained. He just kept creating. Thursday morning, January 8th, 2026. Guy Moon was riding his scooter in Wilmington, Los Angeles. Maybe he was thinking about a new melody. Maybe he was remembering his dad playing boogie-woogie on that piano back in Wisconsin. Maybe he was just trying to get from one place to another. We'll never know. A vehicle hit him. Traumatic injuries. He died at the scene. 63 years old. Gone in an instant. His family posted on Facebook 2 days later. We are overcome with grief to announce the passing of our beloved patriarch. Patriarch, the father, the provider, the man who held them together. He has left an unmistakable legacy. But does a legacy keep you warm at night? Does a legacy sit at the dinner table and laugh at your jokes? Does a legacy hug you when you're scared? No, it doesn't. Somewhere in California, 3 children are trying to understand why their father isn't coming home. A wife is sleeping in a bed that feels too big now. And millions of adults who are still children inside are realizing that the person who scored their happiness is gone. The music has stopped, and it's never coming back. Finally, let's talk about a man who made you laugh, made you scream, made you feel. His name was T.K. Carter, Thomas Kent Carter, born December 18, 1956, in New York City, raised in Southern California where dreams are sold and broken in equal measure. T.K. started doing stand-up comedy when he was 12 years old. 12. Most kids are playing with toys. T.K. was standing on stages trying to make adults laugh. Why? Maybe his home wasn't a place where he could be a child. Maybe laughter was the only way he knew how to survive. He performed at the Comedy Store, got small acting gigs, guest spots on shows like Good Times and The Waltons. He was good, really good, but good isn't always enough in Hollywood. Then in 1982, everything changed. John Carpenter cast him in The Thing, a horror film that would become a cult classic. T.K. played Knowles, the roller skating cook, charismatic, funny, doomed. People loved him. Finally, he had his moment. But moments don't last. After The Thing, T.K. kept working. Punky Brewster in the mid-'80s. He played Mike Fulton, the elementary school teacher. Warm, kind, the kind of character that makes you believe good people exist. Space Jam in 1996. The Corner in 2000, an HBO miniseries where he played a drug addict with such heartbreaking authenticity that critics called his performance perfect. But between the credits, between the roles, T.K. struggled. Hollywood is a city that eats people alive. It chews you up when you're young and beautiful and spits you out when you're not. T.K. kept auditioning, kept hoping for that next big break. But the roles got smaller. The calls came less often. By his 60s, he was doing guest spots. 3 episodes here, 5 episodes there. In 2023, he appeared on Dave, Lil Dicky's show, his last credited work. In August 2025, just months before he died, T.K. did a podcast interview. He talked about The Corner, about how hard it was to even get an audition, about how his friend helped him, about how the stars aligned, just once, and he got to do something he was proud of. He sounded tired, happy, but tired, like a man who had fought for every inch of success and knew the fight was almost over. January 9th, 2026. T.K. Carter was alone in his home in Duarte, California. He called 911, 5:42 in the evening. By the time deputies arrived, he was unresponsive. They pronounced him dead, 6 to 9 years old. No foul play, just life ending. What was he feeling in those final moments? Was he scared? Was he calling out for someone who wasn't there? Did he think about his decades on screen, about the people he made smile, about all the characters he brought to life? Or was he just afraid, like we all are, of dying alone? 3 men, 3 American legends. Bob Weir, who spent his whole life trying to belong, and left behind music that will outlive us all. Guy Moon, who gave us the soundtrack to childhood and died on a random Thursday morning, forgotten by the industry he helped build. T.K. Carter, who made us laugh and scream and feel, who fought for every role, who died alone calling for help. They didn't die together. They probably never even met. But their deaths tell the same story. Fame doesn't protect you. Success doesn't heal you. And when you're gone, the world moves on faster than anyone wants to admit. Bob's music will play in parks and festivals. Guy's theme songs will stream on nostalgia compilations. TK's films will pop up on late-night TV. But the men themselves? The boy who never felt like he fit in. The composer with ringing in his ears who kept creating anyway. The comedian who started performing at 12 because he had to. They're gone, and they're not coming back. Maybe that's the cruelest part of being human. We give everything to our art, our work, our dreams. We sacrifice ourselves on the altar of creation. And when we're gone, people consume what we made without ever knowing what it cost us. They sing along to the songs without knowing the songwriter had tinnitus. They watch the movies without knowing the actor died alone. They listen to the music without knowing the musician spent his whole life feeling invisible. Bob Weir once said he dreamed of a 300-year legacy for the Grateful Dead's music. 300 years. Long after everyone who knew him is dust. And maybe that's beautiful. Or maybe it's heartbreaking. Because what good is being remembered if you never felt truly seen while you were alive? Tonight, somewhere in America, a parent is putting their child to bed, and that child asks them to sing the Fairly Odd Parents theme song. And that parent does, not knowing Guy Moon is gone. Tonight, somewhere in America, someone is watching the thing for the first time, and they are laughing at T.K. Carter's performance, not knowing is gone. Tonight, somewhere in America, a group of friends is at a concert, and someone starts playing Sugar Magnolia. And everyone sings along, not fully understanding that Bob Weir is gone. The music plays on. The laughter echoes. The memories remain. But the men who gave us these gifts, they are silent now, resting in a quiet we can't reach, leaving us with the hardest truth of all. Everything you love will eventually leave you. Every voice you cherish will one day go silent. Every song will have a last time it's played. Every laugh will have a final echo. And all we can do is hold on to what they gave us. The music, the memories, the proof that they were here, that they mattered, that they made us feel something in a world that tries so hard to make us feel nothing at all. Rest now, Bob Weir. Rest now, Guy Moon. Rest now, T.K. Carter. You fought hard. You gave everything. And though the world will keep spinning without you, though new songs will be written and new characters will make us laugh, though time will blur the edges of your faces and your names, those of us who love what you created will carry a small piece of you forward, in every melody that makes us cry, in every theme song that makes us smile, in every performance that makes us believe. You're not gone. Not really. You're just quiet now. Finally, peacefully quiet. And maybe that's all any of us can hope for in the end. To have given enough, to have mattered enough, to have left enough beauty behind, that even in silence we're still heard. Thank you for listening. And thank you to the legends we lost. For everything. For everything.